Well, for me, it's always a matter of, not being mature enough to understand what we really have to do in our community.
Mm.
Because we don't have a candidate. We never have a candidate. We never have anybody who we really could just intentionally just, we're excited about you. We
Mm.
don't have that.
Right.
So we always got to pick, should I say this?
Sometimes the people who say it,
The
lesser
lesser
of
of
two
two
evils.
evils.
We hear it a lot.
Was you reading my mind?
Because we hear it a lot. If you're doing
Yeah,
this work, you hear it all the
yeah.
time.
And that's the truth. So for me, it's tell these people what day there are going to be votes,
Hmm.
because we are not in a position to really have time to train them
Hmm.
to figure this thing out,
Hmm.
because we're not there, I don't think, yet.
Yeah.
We don't have a system that does that.
Yeah.
We don't have MPSs. They just took
So civics in schools.
civic off the table.
Hmm.
So people aren't thinking civically
Hmm.
anymore.
Hmm.
So they don't think about who is taking care of their business. But we do know a lot of people understand the difference between Democrat and Republican. No, really, they
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of people do, but some people don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for us, it's like, okay, we know you got to figure this out, because we can't tell you who to vote for.
Hmm.
But we certainly can tell you on this day, at this
Hmm.
time, you got to go vote.
Hmm.
And we got to really push early voting,
Yep.
and we got to really push absentee ballots.
Absolutely.
We got to really push the use of drop boxes.
Every avenue.
And let's see, because those are the ones that get us over in our community. They're the ones that get us over.
I mean, there's been times I've knocked on doors on election day and I've gotten people to the polls and they're like, "Oh, I didn't realize there was an election today. I thought it was
That's
this day."
right.
And then they don't have what they need,
Right.
and then they get turned away at the polls, and who knows if they have time to go back.
Frustration.
So my thing is, if we bank all these votes with early vote, if you have any issues, we have that time to clarify and to rectify those issues instead of waiting till the last minute on election day.
Yeah.
I think we should make it as easy for the voter
Absolutely.
as we can.
Mm-hmm.
As you just said, people usually, a lot of people don't have ID.
Yep.
We should make it easier. We could take them to the DMV and say, look, you can get a temporary ID
Yep.
so you can vote.
Yep.
That's one of the ways we can make it easy for them because they don't have ID.
Exactly.
I think.
And I think there's questions too. I don't know if y'all have gotten this question, but we've had some folks recently that are like, "Do I need the real ID to vote?" Because now that the real ID is a thing,
And yeah,
people are wondering, "Well, do I need that to vote?"
that's right.
So that's another
You
element.
have to clarify that. You have to
Mhm.
clarify that. However, you should tell them how important it is
That they need
to
to get it.
have
Mhm.
that real ID. But you don't need that ID to vote. I've been talking about this for over 6 years.
I know.
When I told people, get a real ID,
Yeah.
build a real ID, and oh, when we go to get it, we don't need it. Go back and get your real ID in
Mhm.
case you have to go to the federal building to fight for a ticket.
Exactly.
You will not be able to get in that building if
Mhm.
you don't have the real ID.
Mhm.
So we need to get when we talk to people on doors, I think these things should come up.
Absolutely. And I think that makes the case of why we need to have these conversations on a year-round basis. Because if we start to have these conversations in October, it is way too late,
Right.
right?
Right.
Like, let's start having conversations now. We got, two more elections this year.
Right.
I think I always view them as each one is building on the next, right? So how are we building up for April and then making sure people are good for or April, August, and making sure people are good for November too?
Right. Easy and make it as simple as possible. People need to know that this August election is going to show you who you can vote for in the November election.
Mhm.
People don't understand what a primary
Yes.
election is.
That's part of our training. This is what it means with the primary. This is the general. Sometimes you convert it into sports terms.
That's why, and that's why I'm always afraid of what people say to people on the door.
Yeah.
I really want them to say something positive so people are not turning up. Oh, here they come again.
Yeah.
It's not about you voting. It's about you knowing
Mm-hmm.
about the upcoming election
Mm-hmm.
and what you could do to make it easy for yourself and to the host to vote.
Yep.
But did you hear what you just said? And and you got to tell us about the year-round thing and how you really are, really intensely training
Yeah.
folks to understand, how to communicate to our community.
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to kind of talk about that. But what you just said, when you said October's too late, because you really got to, make sure that people understand what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then earlier, you said that we get 30 hours of training.
Yep. It's who our ambassadors. Yep.
So do you know where I'm going?
Go ahead.
You
Go
do
ahead.
know where I'm going, right?
I think I know where you're
Because
going.
you got to do that with the ambassadors.
But that in
Well, how do
turn,
we get that message to our community? I mean, if you got to take 30, no, really,
yeah, no,
that is
yeah,
a serious
it's a
issue.
commitment. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. I think part of it started because I've worked for other organizations where it felt very transactional. People would walk through the door, they're like, I'm just trying to get this little $15, $20 an hour. They're not connected to the work. And so when they're on doors and someone is asking a question and they're not prepared to answer that question, then we're not having the most productive conversations that we can. And so our goal when we hire folks and to train them very intentionally, we want our ambassadors to be resources in the community so that no matter what question comes up, that real ID question comes up, or when are the early vote hours starting, our team is educated. If they don't know the answer right then and there, at least they know the websites where they can find it and pull it up right then and there. So it's for us, we want to equip our team with as much tools as possible so they can have the highest quality conversations.
Another thing I think people need to know when you do doors is the information that's going out that leads you back to my price.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
People are being paid it- for the people they touch.
Yep.
And they'll say you can register to vote here, but
Mm-hmm.
actually what it does is send you back to the election commission to
Mm-hmm.
register to vote.
Mm-hmm.
People have to know the difference
Yes.
because they think they are registered voters
Mm-hmm.
once they go through that process,
Yeah.
not knowing the next step is you actually got to register to vote
Mm-hmm.
with the election commission. And that needs to be talked about
Yeah.
on the doors as well.
Yeah. Which again, I think is I'm just gonna keep coming back to starting as early as possible because if there are those issues, if you're trying to register right before that deadline, right? And you think everything is okay and you show up on election day, you may be going on your lunch break right before you drop off the kids, you get turned away. You don't have time to necessarily go back. So it's like, let's do that mail-in voting. Let's do that in-person absentee and that early vote because there's been some folks even on our team, they're like, oh dang, I forgot my ID. And I'm like, I knew that we were all early voting together as a team but sometimes they forget too. So if our team are regular people and we can forget an ID on occasion, how can we make sure that we're letting people know you still have 10 more days of early vote, right? There's multiple days to go back and to correct whatever issues you had.
And I do, with 100 Women on the Move, I have started to train those women.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I've got another training I up
Yeah.
with those women. And I keep going over and over and over, but you really never know what questions are going to be asked
Exactly.
when
Yeah.
you get to the door. And, you do the 30 hours. I don't do that much.
No,
But, they are trained on how to speak to people on
Yeah.
the door.
Yeah.
But the other problem is your staff is all Black.
Absolutely.
And the 100 Women on the Move, I have a lot of white women.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to tell them, I said, and you could call it mean or you could call it whatever you want to. Don't let me get you to a neighborhood and you ask me if it's safe. Then I don't need you.
Because if you're asking that question, you're already not going to resonate with the voters you're trying to talk to. If you're going into a community already thinking it's unsafe, and I don't know, in Milwaukee, we can tell if you're not from where we are. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Right.
like, who are you? And if you're
Right.
not comfortable, especially our community, we can clock that immediately. And so if you're knocking on my door and I can tell you looking around feeling unsafe and you're just talking to me, I don't know how much I'm really gonna take what you're saying to heart.
That's right. So we need to get more positive people in the neighborhood like Walnut Way people to
Mhm.
knock on doors
Yeah.
because voters are more receptive to people of their own.
Absolutely. People that look like them.
Yes,
That
right.
like our team, what's really good is that we start with the introductory question. What does it look like for our community to thrive? We don't go directly into
That's right.
candidates. So we
That's right.
talk about issues, and sometimes people are like, "What do you learn how to thrive?" I don't know. People haven't thought about that. But if you're from the neighborhood, or at least you're from Milwaukee, having these conversations, they can say, remember there was a basketball court that used to be here back in, being able to have that rooted connection and have a broader conversation. That's also how you're building that
Yeah,
community.
finding that common denominator. I
Mhm.
was at Hepatha Church
Mm,
for the baby sanctuary.
mm.
The first thing I brought up, I was like, have you noticed that it's hard to get the benefits now?
Mm.
Tell me, what do you have to do to get your benefits?
Mhm.
Then I got into that's what voting is about.
Exactly.
That's about getting the right person who's going to fight for you.
You take the issue that they care about,
That's
make it
right.
personal to
That's
them.
right. That's
Yep.
right. That's what I
That's
do.
why we start with the issue.
That's
So if
right.
someone is like, "Oh, my issue is education," okay, great. Let's talk about how education is happening. Let's talk about some of the things that you want to change or see, and let's talk about, oh, there's an electoral
Right.
avenue to do
Right.
that, in addition
Right.
to other organizing
Right.
too.
Right. Right.
So I just think I'm still back to my elementary point. And I just tell these people, hey man, on August 11th we're gonna be voting in the primary, and on November 3rd we vote for. See, because I think if you don't let these people know that that there's an obligation coming up,
Yeah.
it'll just pass them by.
Well,
And
why
then
is
the
that?
only thing, because they don't care
I'm
about.
gonna push back a little bit. I think sometimes people aren't always
Well,
afforded the
well, well,
opportunity
well,
to
well,
care.
well, see, well, that's good.
It's not a
That's a
priority
good
in their life
response.
at that time.
But let me
It's
tell
just
you,
Right.
not a
Because
let
priority.
me
people are fighting
let
for
me tell
whatever.
you,
Right.
right? That's what I mean.
And so, like, if you're working 2 jobs, taking care of your parents, your kids, that's not saying that you
That
don't
part.
care.
That's
It's just you have other things
Well,
that
maybe
you're
I
paying
should
attention
maybe
to.
I should state that another way,
So,
because
because I always want to say, I
they
never want to
can't
put the
care.
burden on the
No,
voter.
they can't care because I got to care.
I don't ever want to put the burden on the voter, because if we all see these structural inequalities all the time, childcare, health insurance, livable wages, we are privileged to be able to do this work and to be as informed
That's right.
as we are. So we have an obligation to also be resources. But I also understand not everybody, if you're working 2, 3 jobs, you can't pay attention and watch, 24-hour
You
cable
got
news.
5 kids to take care of. You worry about food and a house.
Yes.
And if you're not working at all, you really don't.
Right. Or
Right.
even people that are unhoused.
It doesn't resonate.
Right.
People don't always talk to them about, like, hey, are you registered to vote? Obviously, there's different registration issues.
See that's that part. Because if I don't have a job, and then you come up to me,
Exactly. Exactly. It's just like, I don't know how
are
many
you
times
registered to vote?
people are like, you know what? I'm just trying to survive. I'm not trying to hear none of that.
That
There you go.
part. That's what I'm
And that is
talking about.
real. And so then I flip it and say, okay, well, what are some of the challenges that you're going through that don't allow you to participate in our democracy? And they'll say, I'm trying to take care of my kids, whatever, whatever.
You keep stinging me.
And then you say, okay, well, here are some tools to maybe help change your circumstances, right? Like, voting isn't the silver bullet. It's not the end all be all. But if you over here struggling with childcare, let's talk about the ways you can make your voice heard in one way, right? And then after voting, let's sit down with the elected officials. What is their agenda? What are they working on those issues? But I think it takes a point to break it down for people. And here's my thing. I learned from the best. Clearly, I've known y'all for years. I've learned from the best, and I stand on the shoulders of giants. Like, I would not be here without the work of you all and others.
Yeah.
So thank you all for being a role model for me.
I'm gonna tell you something, Angela. That I really appreciate you appreciating us. But if you don't come along, we're kind of doomed.
Yeah.
The young people work. That's fabulous work. Young people involved,
Yeah.
training them to man, that is crazy work. To me, that's amazing, because that's what's needed right now.